Hey, it's Mr. Shrum, and I'm back for the muscular system part of the tutorial walkthrough. We talked about the skeletal system, and we talked about how the muscular system interacts with the skeletal system. Muscles provide power that enable the body to move. Muscles are made of elastic fibers and attached to different bones through tendons. The bones and joints of the skeletal system determine only how a particular part of the body will move. Muscle contraction and relaxation create forces that pull and push bones, which causes the bones and joints to move. Before we explore the role muscles play when we move or perform actions, let's discuss the types of muscles. We have muscle tissue and three types of muscle tissue. Skeletal muscles. These are the most familiar type of muscles. They make up most of the muscle mass of the body. Flexible bands of connective tissue called tendons attach these muscles to the bones in the body. Skeletal muscles control voluntary movement in the body. Here we have skeletal muscle. We also have smooth muscles. These are involuntary muscles. We cannot control them with our mind, right? They are found within the walls of many organs and control the movement of these organs. For example, they enable the movement of food through the digestive system. Cardiac muscles are a special type of involuntary muscle located in the heart, hence the cardiac. These muscles control the contractions of the heart, and those look like this. Major muscles of the body. Muscles work by contracting and relaxing, which causes movement. Muscles cause movement by pulling on bones. They never push. They're always pulling certain bones away from other parts of the body. Muscles usually work in pairs or groups. For example, you have your biceps contracting to pull your arm up. Here, the biceps is the prime mover or agonist, contracting to cause movement. Then you have your triceps. We call that the antagonist. We have agonist, and then they put the ANT in front of agonist, so antagonist. So if you're contracting your bicep like this, the bicep is the agonist, while your tricep on the back of your arm is the antagonist. When you lower your arm, the tricep contracts and acts as the agonist, while the biceps relaxes and functions as the antagonist. Muscles that work in pairs lie on opposite sides of the joint on which they act. In this case, biceps and triceps lie on either side of the elbow joint. And the human body has more than 600 muscles. So let's take a look at some of the major muscles. So if you've ever worked out before, you'll recognize how the body is categorized. We have your deltoids. These are your shoulder muscles. They help lift the upper limb and move it away from the body. We have your pectoralis major, or your pecs. These help to lower the arm and rotate the arm toward your body. Then we have the biceps bronchi. The biceps are a pair of muscles that bend the forearm at the elbow. They also rotate the forearm and hand so the palm faces inward and outward. Then you have your rectus abdominis. This is your stomach muscles, right? The body forward at the waist. It's also used to force air out of the lungs and pull in the abdomen. Then you have your obliques, the abdominal oblique. These lie on either side of your rectus abdominis, and helps to rotate the body. Those are right there. Then we have your quadriceps femoris. The quads consist of 4 muscles. These muscles help to pull the thigh up to the body and to straighten the leg at the knee. So you can see all the different muscles right there. And we have your trapezius, or the traps, how people shorten them. Those are the upper back region of your body. They're right by your neck. It helps to lift the shoulders, and it's also used to bend the neck sideways. We also have the latissimus dorsi, or your lats. These help to lift, lower, and rotate the arm at the shoulder so the palm faces inward and outward. Extensor digitorum. The extensor digitorum extends all the joints of the finger, which enables the fingers to straighten. We have your triceps. The triceps is a muscle with 3 attachment points, and it straightens the arm at the elbow. Gluteus maximus. The gluteus maximus helps to bring the leg back to the straight position when bent at the thigh. Hamstrings. The hamstrings are a set of 3 muscles that help to bend the knee and to move the thigh backward. Soleus. The soleus also helps to bend the foot back at the ankle joint. So right there. This is all the lower body region. Okay, so a push-up. What major muscle do you think the man is contracting when he pushes himself up while doing a push-up? Well, we're obviously using our pectoris, our pectoralis major, and then our triceps. A little bit of deltoids too. But if you've ever worked out before, you can tell which muscles are primarily used for pushing, other muscles are used for pulling, etc. Skeletal muscle contraction. Before examining the mechanism of muscle contraction, we're going to review the structure of a muscle. Skeletal muscle cells are long and cylindrical. So they're referred to as muscle fibers. Several fibers lie bundled together to form a fascicle. Many fascicles lie bound together by a sheath of connective tissue to form a particular skeletal muscle in the body. Muscle fibers, which are individual muscle cells, can be several millimeters in length. Each muscle fiber consists of a bundle of several long strands of protein called myofibrils. And if you click on myofibrils, it's an elongated thread that plays a role in the contraction of muscle fibers. And each one of those myofibrils consists of several protein filaments called myofilaments bundled together. So you notice the common theme is things bundling together and then being bundled together with other things, right? Look at this bundle within a bundle within a bundle and within a bundle. There are 2 types of protein myofilaments. We have thick filaments called myosin and thin filaments called actin. These protein myofilaments lie in bands running horizontally along the length of the myofibril. Between the free ends of the thin myofilaments lies a band of thick protein filaments, myosin, which partially overlaps the thin myofilaments. The center of the band of thick myofilaments is free of thin myofilaments. The arrangement of protein myofilaments in bands gives the myofibril a segmented appearance, and each segment is called a sarcomere. And each one of these sarcomeres is the functional unit of a contracting muscle. You can see how that's all divided up here. Muscle fibers are covered with motor neurons, which carry impulses from the brain or the spinal cord. The site where these motor neurons meet muscle fibers forms a chemical synapse, which is a specialized gap between a nerve cell and a non-neuronal cell. A chemical synapse between a motor neuron and a muscle fiber is called a neuromuscular or a myoneural junction. So let's take a look at the process of muscle contraction. Here we have a motor neuron and a muscle fiber. And the interaction between them is shown here. Sliding filament theory explains the mechanism by which a muscle contracts. When an action potential, which is also called a nerve impulse, travels down a nerve in the muscle fiber, it triggers the release of calcium ions into the sarcomere. The presence of calcium ions in sarcomere causes the actin and myosin protein filaments to attach to each other. The two filaments then slide over each other with the thick myosin filaments pulling on the thin actin filaments. Each sarcomere, in the myofibril shortens, which results in muscle contraction. And this whole process requires energy in the form of adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. The term sliding filament theory comes from the sliding motion of the fibers. So let's examine a scenario in which muscle contraction causes movement. And here we see an example of that. So in most cases, movements of the skeletal muscle are voluntary. Actions such as running, walking, and throwing objects are a conscious decision. Some movements are involuntary, like withdrawing your hand after touching a hot object is a reflex. You're not really thinking about what's happening. Most reflex actions loop through the spinal cord instead of traveling up to the brain. This shortened pathway makes a fast and automatic response possible. In these cases, a sense organ, such as the skin, detects a signal. The signal travels to the spinal cord through the sensory neuron. At the spinal cord, the signal passes to a relay neuron. The relay neuron then passes the impulse to a motor neuron, which transmits the nerve impulse to the muscle. The muscle then contracts and pulls the hand away from the hot object. Modeling muscle movement. Here we have the activity. I'll show you the answers for each part here. Zoe wants to replace the letters on her diagram with labels that describe how the nerves and muscle communicated with each other to trigger her reflexive response. What should her labels be? Should she eliminate any letters from this pathway? She can add skin detects a sharp prick. Spinal cord receives signal from sensory organ. The nerve impulse triggers the muscle to contract. And she has to remove, or she should remove the letter D, the brain. Because like we said, if something is a reflex, it doesn't go to your brain. It only goes through the spinal column. Which lettered point would you use to show Zoe's voluntary action of choosing to move her leg out of the way? Because this action is a voluntary action, it starts in the brain. So if it's voluntary, brain, involuntary, spinal cord. Zoe chooses to move her leg into a different position. Signal travels down spinal cord to skeletal muscle. Zoe uses muscle to move leg out of the way. Point A is not used in the sequence of steps. Part C, let's see. The model doesn't clearly show the neuromuscular junction, and that is a crucial part of the process because the nerve impulse triggers calcium channels to open, which stimulates the process of muscle contraction. What role do Zoe's leg bones and joints have in the processes described? The bones provide structure and support to the legs. The muscles are attached to the bones by tendons. So when the muscles move, the bones also move. The joint in Zoe's legs allow her legs to bend and flex in specific ways. So that's that. Now we're going to look at careers in science. Orthopedist. Orthopedists are medical doctors who specialize in treating musculoskeletal systems. They tend to ailments related to muscles, bones, tendons, ligaments, and nerves in the body. Orthopedists correct problems in these body parts caused by disease or injury. They prescribe orthopedic devices like braces to help with movement, and they also help patients with congenital conditions, ailments inherited at or before birth. Pediatric orthopedists specialize in treating children. They need to take the child's growth and development into account when deciding on the best treatment. In most cases, a primary care doctor will refer a patient with a musculoskeletal complaint to an orthopedist. Orthopedists can help with many ailments. Some examples are broken bones, difficulty using certain body parts when performing daily functions, a limited range of motion, such as being unable to fully straighten the back or extend a joint, deformity or pain in the joints, infections that affect the musculoskeletal system. Watch this video about the stresses on the body caused by carrying heavy backpacks, then design an investigation about the effect of carrying backpacks on students' health using the steps of the scientific method. So let's look at the sample answer. Make observations or inferences. In school, most students carry a backpack. Students frequently complain that their backpacks are heavy and hurt their backs. Ask questions. Do students who carry heavier backpacks report more pain than students who do not? Construct hypotheses and make predictions. Make a prediction. Students who carry heavier backpacks are more likely to experience pain in their back at the end of the school day. Now we're going to test these predictions, these hypotheses, get a sample of students in the school to help with the experiment. All students in the experiment would be students from the school and have no known back conditions. Then weigh the students' backpacks and ask the students if they have back pain at the end of the day. And then you're going to analyze results, record the data in a table, organize the information by the weight of the backpacks, group the backpack weights in 5-pound intervals, and use a bar graph to show the yes or no responses to the pain question for each student. So that's a sample way to create an investigation, a scientific investigation. But watch this video. I won't pull it up here because it probably has like a copyright strike against it or something. But in summary, that has been the musculoskeletal system. And congratulations, you completed the tutorial. Let's go. And I'll get to our next topic next time. But until then, have a great day/week, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.